Are you a victim of hijacking or vehicle theft? Never had your car returned and even wondered what became of it? That's our focus this morning right here on eNCA as we bring in several experts to better understand the modus operandi of hijackers. Now, crime expert Calvin Rafadi says your vehicle may be across the border. He further says police, SARS and border officials are colluding with criminals to get vehicles through border controls. But Calvin, of course, joins us this morning to tell us more about what's really happening in South Africa and also particularly in Gauteng. Mr. Rafadi, always a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for your time this morning. So let's start with this. What are the numbers telling us in terms of the number of vehicles stolen in this past financial year in the country, to be more specific?
Yeah, morning. Thanks for the invite to me. The numbers are quite high, and what we'd like to highlight is, as much as the numbers are high, the recovery of those vehicles is very minimum. So, there's ways of modus operandi that we need to expose, especially in terms of our border spotter, because the loophole of the so-called luxury vehicles and the 4x4s, that's where you see most cars getting across outside of our country after being hijacked or stolen.
And you're saying that these cars oftentimes are not in South Africa. They end up in other parts of the sub-Saharan region.
Yes. What we can highlight is, you get vehicles like your normal Golfs, your normal Polo, you get your NP200, the smaller brands. Those type of cars, whenever they are stolen or even hijacked, you find them in South Africa, whereby they will be used as your 4+1. 4+1 is the taxis in the township, or some they are even used as far as committing other crimes like your kidnappings, your cash in transit. And for most SADC region, those type of cars, they hardly order for those type of cars to be taken outside the country. For the sole reason that, in Durban, if you go to Durban, there's a pound there where these cars, you can easily buy them cheap as long as you're not going to use them in South Africa. So for those type of cars, they buy them around here. But for the luxury ones, the 4x4s, the SUVs, those are the cars that are ordered and are taken outside of our country. And the modus operandi is they send a foot soldier to hijack those cars and steal them with your key fob, like we explained the other day. But when they go across, now they are tempered with the chassis number on the front window of the vehicles, and some of the data dot, they are removed. But similarly, what is worrying is this particular syndicates now, they can even go as far as changing the license disc of the vehicle. They will copy another vehicle, or let's say duplicate another vehicle that is existing. Maybe even your car, Tumelo, if you're driving a 4x4, they can easily duplicate same number plate, same license disc, same chassis number, where now they will just take out the front windscreen of the vehicle, take in a new chassis number of correspondence, and then the cars they are taken across, but also obviously with the help of the customs and the police at the borders.
Yeah, you spoke about syndicates obviously being involved in this, masterminds using foot soldiers to hijack these cars. Tell me who is colluding with these criminals, because, I may think after being hijacked, I may report this to a police station, but could I possibly be reporting to the very same department or office or person that could possibly be involved in what just transpired with my car?
Yeah, no, that's a good one. You see, reporting locally at the police station, it's something way too different than reporting to the officials at the border. Now, what these people do, it's the big syndicates now. Remember, they're buying from the foot soldiers. The foot soldiers, they tend not to wait for money for 3 weeks or 4 weeks, because the car has to be prepared and be. And the officials at the border has to be on standby, knowing that so-and-so Calvin is coming with a vehicle. So it might take them another 3-4 weeks for the car to go across. But what happens, the foot soldiers, they get paid because they must go and look for other cars. And they don't tend to wait for the money. Now, what happens is the minute the vehicle goes to the border, you get those street vendors outside where they're selling, your vegetables and other stuff. Now, they collude with the officials of customs and also with the officials of SARS. Now, they leave an envelope written a particular name of an official. Now, then, once they get to the border, they take out a passport, And then they capture the passport that Calvin went across by foot, by the way. When you check on their control movement, they went by foot. They don't register a car because that car can be of Tumelo. Then they forge out documents of insurance because bigger cars, when you go across, you must have a letter from the insurance that is accepting you to go across.
Right.
So they take the car across. Once it goes across now, the market that side, what happens is most of these big fishes, they get paid either by forex currency, meaning your dollars, your euros, or by way of trade, whereby we've seen in Mozambique, where they get paid with a chemical called ephedrine. Now, a chemical called ephedrine is now sent in South Africa. It is used to manufacture drugs. Now, that's why you see a lot of even drugs around here in South Africa, and we can't stop the crime because with ephedrine, the chemical, it's regulated in South Africa. Now, to get it in big quantity, they will order a car, the guys that site in Mozambique, they send the vehicle, a very luxurious vehicle, and they get paid with the particular ephedrine. Then we've seen in places like Zambia, Namibia, and Zimbabwe, where now you get a lot of tobacco. But their tobacco, when it comes to South Africa, it is irregular to sell it here in South Africa. So some they get paid with illicit cigarette and trade in terms of
Calvin,
sending the car across, getting paid like that.
You are basically telling us it's a multidisciplinary syndicate. It's not only about the hijacking of vehicles, but also those same vehicles could be used for other illicit crimes. I want to touch on a couple of statistics we have right here on our screens right now. The cost of vehicle theft. I mean, this painting a picture of the worth of this illicit crime that we're seeing in South Africa. 8.5 billion rands. Now, that's the worth of vehicles which are stolen and hijacked in South Africa annually. And you were just saying, Calvin, that the number of vehicles stolen is so high that even the reporting or the the recovery of these vehicles is low. So it speaks into the worth of this syndicate and this crime.
Yes, no, definitely it does. You see, the crime of vehicles, luxury vehicles being sent across, it has been a serious crime and over a number of years. What I'm saying is, myself and the team, we've got a repossession division in our company. And we used to work for a particular bank to repossess vehicles, but under bad debt. And we realized the gap of the banks. They used to someone will forge identity theft and buy a luxury vehicles under identity theft with false bank statements. Now, that period, the bank had a loophole and many cars were bought fraudulently and they were taken outside the country. Now, the bank now have put serious stringent when it comes to that. Now, that's why you see a lot of cars now, they are taken either by way of guard or by a method of key fobs. And so the market is too big and the syndicate is too big. Yes.
Highlighting the 4.9 billion rand, speaking about that market that you've further explained. That's the worth. Which is the worth of cars taken across the border to neighboring countries. You were talking about luxury vehicles, particularly being off target, but also over 9,300 vehicles stolen between April and June, and also over 4,900 vehicles stolen in Gauteng alone. I'm going to ask you a question in just a moment, Calvin, around what we can do to ensure that we either prevent being part of those statistics, or should we find ourselves in those compromising positions, what should we do? But I want to further highlight the next graphic, which is going to appear right now on our screens, talking about, the top 10 vehicle theft stations. So the first one being Brooklyn, Gauteng, the second being Honeydew. If you're in Krugersdorp, you'll see that you're coming in third. Sunnyside fourth, Roodepoort coming in fifth, Florida in Gauteng also still coming in sixth, and seventh and eighth still in Gauteng, Boksburg North, and you could see there Vederberg. Now, Chatsworth in KZN and Durban Central coming in 9th and 10th. So these are the top 10 vehicle theft stations and hotspots that you need to be aware of. But before I come to you, Calvin, these are the vehicles that I want to touch on, because Gareth also spoke about some of these vehicles as well, just in terms of the most hijacked vehicles that you and I need to be aware of. So the VW Polo, either hatchback or sedan, the Toyota Hilux and Fortuner, the Etios, Toyota Yaris. I mean, Toyota are being targeted here, I have to say, as a brand. Ford Ranger, the Ford Figo, Nissan NP200, and the Nissan Navara. And we spoke about this, Calvin, didn't we, where you mentioned that these cars cars, particularly the Toyotas, are targeted. These are the ones usually seen crossing the borders of, Mozambique. So again, if I'm in this situation where I'm being, hijacked, what do I do? Or is there anything I can even do, Calvin, to prevent my car and vehicle being hijacked?
Yeah, I think the last time we touched on just a quick one. You see, when you speak of cars like Toyota Yaris, like we said, those type of cars, they are used locally, most of them, because like I say, the market of those cars, you can easily buy them even in Durban. I mean, if you check on the road, you see them on the trucks, and those type of cars, they are imported from Europe and right-hand drive driven, and they are cheap. So for somebody in Zambia to buy a stolen vehicle like that, it's more cheaper to go and pay 15,000 at the port. But now you get the 4x4s, the SUVs now. The reason why they love those type of vehicles across Africa is because of it's got so many potholes, the roads are bad. So those type of cars, they actually drive them. It's easy to drive a 4x4 SUVs in those neighboring countries. But to come to your question now, like you're saying, what are us as citizens, how to protect ourselves? The last time we said the modus operandi of the syndicates, whenever they come and hijack your vehicle, the reason why we said give them the vehicle is because of they are heartless, and like we explained the hierarchy that they want to belong in a group. They are trigger happy, and most of them, they are under the influence of drugs as well. So it's for the simple reason that your life is more safer. It must be more safer than the vehicle itself. So, but we also touched on what we call the key fobs, like when they park close to your car and decode your key. And, as I was discussing with the team, they say, we can even advise our audience and citizens that you remember in the old days, there used to be those gorillas, like your gear knobs, your steering wheel knobs. I think one needs to go back to that route, whereby now, even when you park your luxury vehicle, you can put a gear knob and your steering wheel, this thing. Even when your key is decoded, your keyless key is decoded, one cannot easily go into the vehicle and just drive away with the vehicle, especially the luxury cars, because they've got airbags. Now, with the airbags, you cannot unlock the steering wheel and steal the car.
Well, I appreciate you speaking to me, Calvin, this morning. I mean, I know that the last time we had a conversation, not every one of our viewers were too happy to hear you say, turn the other side, don't make eye contact with the hijacker, give them the car, your life is valuable. But I personally couldn't agree more with you. Your life is precious, because oftentimes these criminals are trigger happy, and should you threaten, their control of the situation, they might just turn the situation into a fatal incident. So I appreciate you giving us that advice. Crime expert Calvin Rafadi talking to us more about not only the hotspots that we're seeing in terms of vehicle hijackings, but also what really happens with these syndicates. They're worth billions. This market is worth billions. And if you're in Gauteng, or particularly in KZN as well, you might be rather in a hotspot area. So make sure that you do, of course, keep cautious.